Good morning. Welcome to the First Universalist Society in Franklin. I'm Evelyn Rossing. My pronouns are she, her. I am a member of the worship committee and I'm glad that we're together here today. As we gather this morning, I hope you find solace and rest, rejuvenation and connection, a moment of peace, and the strength to carry on. Whoever you are, however you love, you are welcome here. We see you and we love you. If you are visiting with us this morning, we're especially glad you're here. Please take a moment to sign our guest book in the foyer. Please gather after the service for snacks and coffee in the Fellowship Cafe. If you would enjoy a quieter place to socialize, look for the quiet room down the hall in the Religious Education Wing. This morning, please welcome Reverend Joe Murphy to the pulpit. Reverend Joe is the Executive Director for UU Mass Action and is busy mobilizing and organizing the many UU Mass Action campaigns. She is also quite busy with her 2-year-old daughter Simone and doing per diem work as a chaplain at Beth Israel. She loves liberation, dreaming, the ocean, and a fine roast chicken dinner. And now let us join our hearts and minds together as we gather for worship. Each Sunday morning, we share a centering ritual with Unitarian Universalists around the world, the lighting of a chalice. As Jonah lights the chalice, hear these words from The Color Purple by Alice Walker. I think us here to wonder, myself, to wonder, to ask, and that in wondering about the big things and asking about the big things, you learn about the little ones almost by accident. But you never know nothing more about the big things than you start out with. The more I wonder, the more I love. Let us light this chalice with wonder, with love, with wondrous love.
Good morning. I believe now, do you all sing in unison? Is that correct? Yes? No? That's okay. As you go together, these are truth and affection. Lessons for help, learn from those who come. Be bold and be fulfilled, and that we may speak the words and actions of and goodwill. Our call to worship this morning is a poem by Laura Gilpin. The Things I Know, How the Living Go on Living, and how the dead go on living with them. So that in a forest, even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks, and the trunk falls to the ground, but the moss covers it. And in the spring, the rabbits will find it and build their nest inside and have their young, and their young will live safely inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature and nothing is wasted in love. Let us worship here, making sure that nothing is wasted in nature, and especially that nothing is wasted in love. If you would now join me in singing our opening hymn, number 163, For the Earth is Turning.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Allegretti. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm your Director of Religious Education. I decided to be up here today. I changed my mind, tech table. Sometimes we are having fun, and then suddenly, pop, something ends or something sad happens. When this occurs, our hearts feel heavy. And to help us think about this in a concrete way, I brought something in my Wonder Box today. I don't know if you heard it on my way up, but it was like rolling around. Let's see. Bubbles! Bubbles are a great tool for play and for bringing joy. And we know that they don't last forever. But I think that's maybe part of their appeal. I'm going to try to blow a batch of bubbles so that hopefully all of you can see it. And while they're in the air, let's enjoy their beauty and notice the colors they bring to the sanctuary today. Step away from the technology. Oh, they popped. Disappointment, despair, sadness, grief. These emotions sometimes come without warning, just like how our bubbles popped without telling us that they were going to pop first. When emotions like these show up, we can name them and feel them, even though sometimes that's tricky. Maybe we use a grounding technique to help the tricky emotions. What grounding techniques do you use? If you shout them out, I'll repeat them so everyone can hear. Breathe. Yeah. Tapping like this. Singing. Reading a book. Wiggling your toes inside your shoes. I've actually done that, but I never thought about it being a grounding technique. I think yeah. Walking in the woods. Music, friends. Brief profanity. Coloring. Drinking water. Eating. Meditation and painting. Sketching. Art in general, yeah, for sure. Sports, moving your body. Great. So the one I noticed that, I don't know, it was maybe 4 or 5 people said right at the beginning was take a deep breath. Remember that contentment, joy, wonder, these emotions can come back. We are going to sing our children to their religious education classes. The words are in your order of service.
Let us take a deep breath together, breathing in and out. As we breathe in and out, let us extend our love, our hearts, to all the prayers said here today and all the ones left unspoken. Let us send out love to the hearts that are filled with concern and worry. Let us send out love to the ones that are bursting with joy. In the midst of the time we have been in, I have noted that people need sometimes to let go and to know that the work we have ahead of us is not just on them. And at this time of extending our prayers, of blessing our concerns and joys, I like to sing a little bit of this song called Loosen. If you would like to join in, I'll sing it a couple times, or you can just listen. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. One more time. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. In this time of meditation and prayer, let us let go what we need to let go, and let us keep what we need to keep. Let us enter a time of prayer with special music at this time. In remote forests in Madagascar, there is a somewhat star-shaped orchid, a delicate branching of white petals called the star of the forest. She may look delicate, and one may think her name comes from the shape, but she is also the star of the forest because she grows in complete darkness. This isn't just a survival technique for her. She thrives in the darkness. The orchid gets nutrients from underground fungus, does not have chlorophyll for photosynthesis, but cuts through the dirt every so often to attract pollinators, such as ants. I love reading about this orchid. I love knowing that there is thriving in darkness. This orchid is also a reminder for me about the ability for life to survive and thrive in unexpected places, in dark forest floors. Beautiful, delicate, perhaps pieces of joy, thriving orchids that live happily and healthily in the dark. I think we are all in need of the possibility that exists within these thriving orchids. As fascism rages on, hatred grows, and violence surges, I think we all need the beauty and the thriving and the surviving, the aura of this orchid. In my work as a leader of the organization UU Mass Action, I work alongside organizers on legislation and advocacy and change in the areas of climate, environmental, indigenous, immigration, economic justice, and decarceration. I am sure that things will continue to shift, but most of our justice work in this time has remained the same as it always has been. It just has become much more urgent. I'm wondering if during this time, we, not as individuals, not as congregations, but as a faith, as Unitarian Universalists, UUs who exist all over the globe, will decide that we really want a better world, and we will fight for it like we never have before. I hope this is our chance to not only fight fascism and the injustice that the current administration brings, but to finally change the status quo, to bring down our systems of harm and craft and create a worldwide community of care. In these movement spaces, doing this work, I find myself standing in that awkward space of not being very hopeful, but having the possibility of hope and really believing in that. I know that people have the capacity to do better, but I have seen again and again that we do not always act on that capacity. When thinking about what blocks my ability to move from having hope and hope to just hope, I think about my ability to grieve. I believe that if we take time and space to grieve and be in grieving, we will have a greater capacity for joy, for delight, and we need this joy, we need delight to continue on in our movement spaces, to continue to remember why and what we fight for. Many, many summers ago, Joni Mitchell, who's now in her late 80s, made a surprise guest appearance at the Newport Folk Festival and sang Both Sides Now with Brandi Carlile. This is a haunting, definitely sad-sounding song. And when I watched this video, I did not cry, I did not weep, I sobbed. I'm sure many of you have experienced songs and art, moments that are breaking you open. I think this song, both for me in its melody and lyrics, about knowing life and then realizing you don't at all, and that's okay. And maybe that's not the point. It gave me what I needed in that moment. It broke me open. I know that also during these times, singing and community was and is regulating. I also know that preaching about this is one thing, but doing something about it, seeing art, doing art is another. And I'm going to invite people again to sing. If you know this song by Joni Mitchell, just pop in or hum if you want, and I'm just going to sing a couple of verses. Yeah, sure. Let's see if I get in the right key. Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere looked at clouds that way. But now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in the way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way. I've looked at love from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Thank you. Part of me was sobbing in this moment due to beauty, part loving Joni Mitchell and still seeing her still singing, and part of it was I just needed to cry. I was reminded of the activist and writer Adrienne Marie Brown quote who says, "Remember, you are water. Of course you leave salt trails. Of course you are crying." In a sermon written about despair in 2019, the UU minister, Reverend Victoria Safford, responds to the despair and grief people were feeling at that time with, "Time is not an arrow. It is not an arrow shot from the bow at the beginning and propelling history inevitably in one doomed direction. It is not. There are no straight lines in this round world, no guarantees. Seasons change and movements grow. Hearts beat on, and all things like water ebb and flow. Despair can give way to resistance if you voice it in community. Grief can become resilience if you honor the weight of it. Cynicism can be melted, grim certainty unrusted. Apathy can wake up if the music's loud and strong enough. In this time of our history where violence rages on, wars begin and continue, our climate feels on the edge, if not already in the midst of disaster. There are so many attacks on our trans and LGBT communities. There is so much grief. There is reason for despair, for grief, for cynicism, for apathy. It is one thing to talk about melting cynicism, having despair give way to resistance. But how does this all come about? How are we not consumed by despair? How do we carve and make room for joy, hope, and delight, the things that make our world, our survival, worthwhile and beautiful? And what about rage? What about anger? A quote from Marshall Rosenberg, who writes about nonviolent communication. "I see all anger as a result of life-alienating, violence-provoking thinking. At the core of anger is a need that is not being fulfilled. Thus, anger can be valuable if we use it as an alarm clock to wake us up. Use anger as a wake-up call. Realize that we have a need that isn't being met and that we are thinking in a way that makes it unlikely to be met. But what a great wake-up call it could be. A strong emotion to get you up in the morning, to use it for justice, to use it to create spaces where your joy, our joy, their joy is safe. Use your anger to fight, but don't fight the same way others are fighting. Fight to create spaces where people have resources, people can have joy, and protect these spaces. No one gets our joy, and we have the power, tools, and resources to protect our communities, to protect our loved ones and our beloveds. Let anger get you to that place of building, and let yourself feel a joy that fascism, violence, and capitalism doesn't want you to have, but also can't have it. My recipe for not being consumed by your emotions, by rage, is threefold. First, don't forget your people. Gather them, cook for them, care for them, love them in all the ways, and also be gathered. Let people gather you, cook for you, love you. Gather your people, be gathered, and then let yourself cry and grieve. Finally, after being gathered, after grieving, we remind ourselves why we survive. This is the part where we dance, we eat the food we have cooked, we sing, we remember that our lives, our survival is beautiful. Do not forget your people. Let yourself cry and grieve. Remember why you want to survive. Often, before I board a plane, I text many, many people. I then turn off my phone, take the flight, and I land, and I turn on my phone, and I'm very popular. My phone dings and fills with messages of loves or jokes, whatever I texted them in the first place. Do things like this. Remind people that you love them. Remind yourself that you have a community rich with love. Do things that remind yourself of the love that is already in your life. Be with people. Remind yourself that life wants life. Now we let go of despair and let our bodies, our hearts grieve. Once the people have been gathered, fed, and loved, let that grief be felt. Let the tears fall. Remember, you are water. Of course you leave salt tears. Of course you are crying. Tears that are not the pain themselves, but a release of the pain, a sign of the pain, a physical representation, and let go of the grief. As a leader, as a minister, part of accepting grief is necessary to staying in the work, to staying connected to the world. Accepting grief is a part of avoiding the despair. Not only do we need to grieve, we are grieving in the midst of so many losses and circumstances that persist, that continue. We are tired of making so many decisions that are not flippant decisions, but that relate to our survival. We are tired of living through uprisings and seeing racism viciously persist. We are tired of violence building rather than diminishing. We are tired of war, of ICE bombing into our communities. We are tired of the hatred being acted upon by more violence, by occupation. We are tired of the violence at the borders, at the detention centers and prisons. We are tired of fighting for an earth that some seem to care about and others do not. We are tired. Of course we are crying. And so we gather and we let each other cry. We remember that despair can be paralyzing, but grief doesn't have to be. In an article about eco-anxiety entitled, "How Can I Stay Hopeful as the World Burns?" Aisha Mirza interviews Robin Wall Kimmerer, author of, among many things, the book Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants. Mirza asks Kimmerer how she stays hopeful, and she says the grief is heartbreaking. But what I try to do is to feel that deeply. Grief can paralyze us. It can bring us to despair and hopelessness. But when we recognize the pain, that the feeling we are feeling is ecological compassion, it's love for the world that is strong and fierce and allows us to say, not on my watch. The other day I walked out of a church after giving a similar sermon on grief. I have a little daughter who was at the nursery at the time. I finished my sermon, and after shaking a few hands on my way out, I went up to pick my daughter. I came back to the coffee hour, the coffee-laden air and the chattering, holding my daughter Simone. Someone then approached me and said, excuse me, you must be a little bit more hopeful than you let on. You brought this beautiful child into the world. And I am much more hopeful than I let on. Am I scared, grief-stricken, and angry too? Yes. But again, life wants life. And I have so much hope for this broken world. I brought life into the world because I believe there's a great life for my daughter to live. And so I gather my people, I let myself be gathered. I come home to a house where many people live. We cook meals for each other. We sing, we say grace. We think about the resources we need and the extra ones we give. We set and create room for when the tears come, they can be released. Where anger is welcomed and you can scream as long as you don't wake the toddler. We sweep the floors, bake bread, and lend each other cars. We go to the rallies, we make themed cocktails, bake cakes. We celebrate the life that is here, the life that is us. We gather, we cry, we celebrate our survival amidst it all. It is no joke to feel grief deeply, especially when there's so much to grieve. But I think it helps when we know that in part, to grieve is to love. The last part of my recipe is to act on this love, to remember why we move, why we work to protect this world. For this part, you go do what you love. Experience joy, delight, dance, go see art, go to the ocean, listen to something that makes you laugh, make someone else laugh. Remind yourself of why you love your life. And good thing that we are excellent at loving. Let us not go to waste. Our perhaps broken hearts certainly have a lot of territory to cover. I think it's going to take work, but not more work than we can handle. We do not do this work alone, and we do not do it in despair. To want to survive in of itself is a beautiful thing. So let us leave the salt trails of tears and not despair. Let us nurture our longing to survive. Let us remember why we fight, and let us remember this by creating and finding joy, by loving the people we have gathered and the ones who have gathered us. Let us cry and grieve, remembering that our pain is love and that we've always had more than enough of that. Of course, you are crying. Of course, we are crying. Let us let the tears flow as reminders of how deeply we are in love with this world. Our systems have been broken for a long time. They have been broken long before this administration. I am finding hope in the chance to build new systems, to dream what our world could look like and make it happen. We will survive because of our joy, because of our people, because we have always been good at loving. We have so much collective grief, and it is deep, it is present, it is powerful. Let us match that grief with action. Let us remind ourselves that it is also deep love. And let us love, let us survive, and let us survive beautifully like cloud castles in the sky, like Ferris wheels, like bubbles being blown out on a congregation. Let us love, and let us love deeply, beautifully, and a bit hungrily. Amen and blessed be. If you would now join me at this time in singing our hymn of the month, Hold On to Love.
Today's offering will be donated to UU Mass Action to support their important work. I invite you to make a contribution this morning when the offering plates are passed. You may contribute also by going to fusf.org and clicking on Give. Please be sure to select the monthly plate giveaway to include your gift. If you are visiting us for the first time, please let the plate pass you by. Your presence is your gift to us today. I'll now invite Reverend Joe to tell us more about UU Mass Action.
Okay. You may have guessed that I really enjoy singing by this point, and I'm only going to make you sing one more time. In order to really lodge in your hearts and minds the heart of UU Mass Action, I would like you to help me describe it. So that when I point to you, I'd love you all to sing back, UU Mass Action. Shall we try? Beautiful. Knew you could do it. So once again, my name is Reverend Joe Murphy. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the director at here at we work with partner organizations who are on the front lines and tell us what legislation, what advocacy needs to be done in the areas of climate justice, indigenous justice, immigration justice, housing, economic justice, and decarceration work. Also at we have a youth corps in which we go around to congregations and ask high school youth what they'd like to get involved in our campaigns and try to build up organizing power amongst the UU youth. Also at we love to create joy and festivities, and we will be having a talent show in June. So we warmly welcome all of you to come to our talent show and learn a little bit more in depth about what we do and how we connect with all of you and all the other congregations in the network. Thank you so much. If you would now join me in singing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in awe. Keep within the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quest for the true. Honor of beauty and wisdom of time. Of thy living that brings us so wide. Wake now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering through the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend. Praying and striving, their hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted his ways. God's love embraces the whole human race. Now my vision of ministry clear, brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care. To want to survive in of itself is a beautiful thing. To want to survive in a broken world on flames is even more beautiful, and perhaps it is at its core hope. Gather your people, let your tears flow, and make sure to make music that is strong and loud enough. Blessed be. Please join me in singing our farewell song together. Carry the flame of peace and love till we meet again. We extinguish this mighty chalice, but not the spirit that thrives within it, within us, that thrives just as beautifully as the star of the forest orchid. Amen.